This week on Storytime at the Rue Bus, we finally got a report on the Jums World Tour. We're talking all things travel, and then we tell you about our event coming up in Nashville. Welcome to Storytime at the Rue Bus, a weekly podcast about Bonnaroo and other festivals. I'm your host, Charla.
Hey everybody, it's Daniel, and obviously, as you can tell, we're back in the house this week. I want to thank everybody that came out to our thing over at Straight to L when we did that quote-unquote live episode at their venue over there. That was a ton of fun. I love doing that format.
Yeah, that was super cool. We had a ton of folks out. People drove from all over. Shout out to Chelsea, Nick, Taco, Josh, JB. I mean, so many people came out for that, and it was just so much fun. And just thank you guys so much for supporting Totem.
Yeah, it means a lot to us when you guys come out to those live events. And by the way, we have another one coming up. I think a lot of you will be able to come to this one fairly easily. It's going to be on Saturday, January 17th, over at Honey Tree Meadery in East Nashville, probably from around 3 to 5 p.m. It's over there across the street from the Basement East in that kind of arcade place over there.
Yes. Have you ever been to Honey Tree Meadery?
No, I've never actually stepped foot in there. Like, I've walked by like a number of times, but never actually went in. I've heard nothing but good things, though.
It's so super cool. Amanda and I, my friend Amanda, we actually went there before we went to see the band Real Estate at Basement East. It was about a year ago. And, oh my gosh, it's really cool. You'll really like it.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to temporarily pause Dry January just for that, I suppose.
It's so funny. We're trying to do Dry January, but then we're having our Totem event at a meadery, so.
We didn't think that one through.
No.
Yeah, but guys, I want to talk with you because this is going to be a bit of a different episode. So many of you probably have seen for yourself that Rue News is a little dry right now because we're doing a bit of a different schedule since the lineup already dropped. It's probably going to be about another month or so before we really start hearing about like new things and developments and such. So while we have a little bit, I wanted to do like some community stuff and return to our roots on this podcast and do some storytelling. So some of you may have heard that we have been joking off and on about the Jums World Tour on the show with friends and such. So to give you a little bit of background on that, we have a friend, Jums, that's his nickname, who literally has been all over the place in the past year. We were joking that, like, you know, it feels like the real life joke about your unemployed friend on a Tuesday because everybody would be looking at his Instagram stories and he'd be like, oh, today I'm in a hot air balloon in Mexico or something like that. It was always ridiculous stuff. I felt like for me, it started when I met him over at the Sphere in Vegas. And like from that point, he was just going and going and going. It was crazy.
So I'll tell you my favorite Jums story.
Yeah.
So back when we very first started the Rue Bus group camp, we actually made it public and open and anyone could sign up for it. Well, the very first person that ever signed up, I had no idea what their name, because, you know, he used his real name. And even then I wouldn't have known Jums, you know. And I kept asking for months. I was like, who is so-and-so? Who is this? who is this? And then I finally found out. And come to find out, you know, long story short, Jums has become, you know, one of our good friends. He's just super amazing. Just one of the coolest people ever.
I had a blast with him at the number of different things we did this past year. He actually rode in the bus with us when we came in this past year. He needed a ride. So I was like, hey, I have a big vehicle. You could stow stuff in. So he
had to come in early for the wiffle ball game.
He was the Jumpire. If you've seen that picture from the wiffle ball game, and I think you might see it later in the episode if I remember right, he was the umpire. He had like the full gear and everything. But I have him on for two different reasons this week. One, because there's not really any news, so I want to talk a little bit about community news and go back to our roots and have people tell stories about stuff that they're doing as Bonnaroovians. But there's a second reason, and we'll talk about this towards the end of our little segment here in a little bit. I say little, but it goes on for almost an hour. I want those of you who are a little younger in our audience, you know, like in your 20s, college age, whatever, to really consider going out and traveling like Jums is talking about. Go to these like backpacker hostels in different countries. Me and Charlotte are obviously a little particular to Asia. Talk about that in a second. But I want you to realize it's not as expensive or tricky as you may think. And I think it's a great way for you to get like cultural experience in a very Bonnaroo kind of way. It's crazy how many similarities there are to like these youth hostels and like group camps, for example.
Yep. Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, we met one of our good friends at a hostel back in 2018.
Yeah.
And they ended up coming to Bonnaroo with us.
We'll see her in about 2 months too.
We will.
But I want you to listen to what Jums is talking about and consider these kind of experiences for yourself. He talks about Hostel World, which is a great website where you can find like a cheap place to stay where you're going to inevitably meet a ton of friends. I'll let him speak for himself. We go through a lot of his stories in the past year here in just a few moments. I did want to kind of not really announce something, but talk about something that we haven't really talked about on the show just yet. So speaking of travel, me and Charla are going back to one of our favorite places here in about 2 months. We're going to be in Thailand for about a week and a half. We are going to have a couple of guest hosted episodes while we are gone. Nick, I'm talking to you specifically through the podcast right now. He's going to be doing one. I love him and his band. They did a fantastic job in the group camp area last year. I want to see them again. Hint, hint. I hope you guys are practicing. I need to see that. But I think he's going to be doing one for us. We'll twist some arms of some friends to do some. But you and I are also going to do an episode from Bangkok while we're over there.
Yes, we are. To back up, Nick Wigelia, because there's like 8 Nicks.
There's too many Brads. There's too many Nicks. Yeah.
But yes, and then we're going to do an episode from Bangkok.
Yeah,
so
that's the
that'll
plan.
Be fun.
So that'll be at the beginning of March, give or take, and we might try to do something live from there because the time zone actually works in our favor in that instance.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. But speaking of travel, I'm going to go ahead and get to this whole thing about the Jums World Tour.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and me and Charles will be back after that. Well, everybody, this is long overdue. I feel like we have been teasing this for the better part of 2 months now. We have a friend that has literally been traveling the world over the past, 6 months, I want to say, give or take?
I mean, I think the travel started in February, so better parts of 10 months.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. But yeah, everybody, we finally have Jums on to talk about the world tour. Now, for anybody that doesn't know you super well, can you give us a bit of an introduction, like where you're from, how many Bonnaroos you've been to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my name's Jums. Let's see, started going to Bonnaroo in 2019, went solo, did the solo Roo, and basically found story time at the Roo Bus as some prep to going into Bonnaroo, listen to the stories, listen to the lore. And ever since then, I was actually way too shy to go up and introduce myself to them back in 19. And when we came back in 22, I just remember going to the bus and was just like too shy. I didn't want to talk. But then once they got their Discord up and running, I've been going to Bonnaroo ever since, and then joined their camp, fortunately, back in 23 and ever since. And no, it's been a blast. So long time listener, first time on the show.
You do not strike me as someone that is too shy whatsoever, considering some of the misadventures you and I have gotten into with friends.
Oh, absolutely. I think for me, I just need an introduction. And then I think once the doors open, then I'll be all over it. So,
I'm kind of the same way. Like, I know that most people that know me either through this or like Bonnaroo stuff kind of think of me as like extroverted, but actually I'm a combination of both. If I'm in a place where I don't know that many people, like I get really quiet really quick because you kind of have to like fill the room out before you kind of like know how much you can put yourself out there,
Oh, absolutely. You got to figure out what kind of humor they're into, or sometimes you just got to take a leap of faith, and that's how you got. But I think that's how some of those good friendships start for sure.
Yeah. I hope we can encourage people to like feel as if you are in a good place to be your extroverted self when you're at Roo, because literally nobody is judging. People want to see the most wild version of you, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because I've always been told, oh, you seem very extroverted. You get to get along with everybody. But I think for me, it was like that awakening was at Bonnaroo 2019, being solo and basically just being completely free and talking to anybody and everybody. And I think it was just incredible. The people that you meet along the way.
Now, we're going to talk about this here in a little bit, but I feel like your experience at Bonnaroo may have prepped you for all of the international travel that you did for almost a year, because you were probably going to a lot of these like youth hostels and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So actually, very new to the hostel game, probably within the last year and a half, 2 years, but definitely well worth it. And I think that self-reliance and just being organized is half the battle of being able to take on world travel or even a Bonnaroo.
Yeah. All right. Before we jump into this, I want to get one thing out of the way. Like, I'm seeing your room for the first time. You've got all this art and album covers and everything. And also, can you please show off that tracksuit that you're wearing? I didn't realize that was merch from last year.
Merch from last year, but the size is a little snug. As you can see, I may have gained a few pounds on the world tour, but you know what? I was like, it's a nice little core memory from the short-lived 25 that we had.
Yeah. What do you got on the wall back there? I see those albums, but you also like went to the Masters. You got one of those like Rue posters.
Yeah. So I got, what is it?
Yeah. Show us around.
So I got the little 2017 Masters. That's a whole story in itself, but basically got a call on a Wednesday night, drove through the night, drove my VP, and got to go to the Masters Thursday and Saturday and golf down there. So it was just incredible. So, but as a lot of people, if they follow me, they know that I love golf. So the Masters was just a huge bucket list for me.
You know, somewhere Pawpaw Josh is listening to this right now, and he loves you and also hates you at the same time.
But we love each other at the end of the day.
Yeah,
we have some unfinished business from this year. We have our Wizard staffs that we're going to be whipping out this year at the Monkey Bar. But then I was kind of doing like a little ode to my Spotify Wrapped. What I got here? I got Krungbin.
That's cool.
Krungbin, Lana Del Rey, 21 Pilots, Mount Joy, and Millennium. Those are kind of my core listening rotation, if you'll say, per se.
Yeah. You and I were together on the rail at that Krungbin show 2 years ago. That was one of my favorites, like post-pandemic, man. That was a great show.
Oh, incredible. I mean, yeah, especially being front row and just kind of just feeling the groove and don't even get me started. That was just an incredible show.
That was a fun night. All right, well, let's get into the story. You have like almost a year's worth of stories that we're going to try to cram in about a half hour or so. So you said it started in February. So I told you, let's go through the whole thing chronologically. And you sent me a couple of pictures we'll show along the way. So when did the world tour like officially start in your mind?
My mind, the official world tour started at the end of February because long story short, got laid off at the beginning of February and was kind of just shuffling around and figuring out what I want to do with my life. And I just said, you know what? Let's just, I got a little war chest built up and got a severance package. So I was like, let's just do it. And then also another, long story short, my dad has Alzheimer's. So being able to just spend time with him. And so with this world tour, it was travel, home with him, travel, vacation with him and such. So kind of just getting the most out of it this year, which I think was super fun. And I'll definitely remember it forever.
Yeah. Well, tell Dad we said hi. How's he doing?
Oh, absolutely. No, he's doing good. Just got back from him. I was with them all December.
Good.
Yeah, so it was good to spend the holidays with them. On, I guess like not morbid, but kind of fun is he basically gets to watch all of his favorite TV shows and movies for the first time, like every other day. So, and watch his favorite series. He loves Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So we watched through those, and he's like, "Man, I haven't watched this show in years." And it's like, you watched it last month, Pops, all the way through. Yeah. So it's actually kind of fun. But so end of February, literally bought a ticket the morning of and went out to Arizona to go with some friends and their families to go to Extra Innings Fest in Tempe, Arizona. So bought my flight Thursday morning. 3 hours later was on the flight to Arizona. And bought a festival ticket for that weekend. And headliners for that was Casey Musgraves, Lumineers, Kings of Leon, Red Clay Strays. Man. So incredible. So it was fun.
That one is one that I've obviously been very interested in. How did they mix in the baseball aspect to things?
So we didn't get to get too much of it, but they have a kind of like a third stage, not really music, but I think this year was hosted by Ryan Dempster. And they had a few MLB players, like I think Coco Crisp was there as well. But they have a few players that come and they kind of do like a little, kind of like a little round table, kind of like Q&A on the stage. Yeah. And it was pretty cool. They call it the left field stage, I believe, because the main stage is called center plate or home plate. And then kind of like looking at it left field is that stage where they had that. And it was a very cool setup. But yeah, I didn't get too much into the baseball stuff, but it's actually pretty cool because they have the weekend before called Innings Fest, and then the weekend after it's called Extra Innings, and it's a two different lineup setup. So I think pretty cool.
I know they still do the one out there in Arizona for like the Cactus League, but I don't think they're doing the one in Florida for the Grapefruit League anymore. I don't think it sold as well.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be the other way around, but whatever.
Right, you'd think. And then kind of with that, we saw Reds and Cubs spring training game out there too, which was pretty cool. First time actually doing spring training, and I can see how it is. Like, it's a party.
Yeah, it's a lot more of a party than going to like the full MLB park, and it's a lot more intimate. There's only going to be like a couple of thousand people there, and the ball players are like way more prone to hang out and come sign autographs and take pictures. I will tell you, you're talking about some of the retired players. I've learned through my time chasing baseball stuff like I'm a deadhead or something. There's nothing that retired players love more than just hanging out with somebody that's really into the game so they can tell their old stories. Like,
oh, absolutely.
One of my favorite memories is sitting just one evening hanging out with Steve Avery, just casually talking about the 1995 World Series as if it was just, something everybody gets to do.
Right.
No big deal.
And it's kind of like the whole thing. It's like, oh, what's he thinking about? He's probably thinking about other girls. It's like, no, I'm thinking about that one random shortstop in 2003 and how David Ortiz and the Red Sox broke my heart in 2004 and that ALCS, but that's another story for another day.
Well, yeah, you're a big. We got to rip this Band-Aid off. You're a big Yankees fan. I won't
big
hold
Yankees
it against.
fan.
Yeah.
Yep. Dad's born and raised New York, and he always says third generation Yankee fan. And I think it's not that hard. Growing up, Yankees were pretty good in the 90s and 2000s, so kind of stuff.
Yeah, don't remind me. Yeah, don't remind me. Yeah, we got to go see.
I think I did that when I was down in Texas. I think I sent you and Papa the Braves. I think it was like, what was it, the 97 or 98 World Series? And my dad has like the DVD collection of when they played in the World Series.
Yeah,
and I was like, sorry guys.
No, I unfortunately know that all too well. It was 1996. The Braves were up like 2 or 3 games, and then the Yankees came back and won. But we won't talk about that anymore.
We won't talk about that anymore. No.
Hey, so you sent me a couple of pictures. I think I have one that might be from Arizona, if I'm remembering right. So is this the same time that you were out there for the baseball music festival?
No. So I think the one in the desert, right? This one's actually in Zion National Park in Utah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was
later.
Yeah. So I think this was in August.
Okay. So we're jumping
when I was
ahead.
out there.
Well, you were talking about the desert, so let's go ahead and talk about that. We'll talk about everything else chronologically, but what were you doing out there?
Yeah, so say what was it, a year ago, we got Rufus the Soul tickets, and we call it like our Millennium group. And so we all met for the first time, at least for me, I met this group of 5 or 6 in LA for the Trilogy show in LA. And we became friends ever since. And we've been doing shows once a year in different places. We did Red Rocks for Deadmau5 last year. And then this past year we did Rufus the Soul in Salt Lake City. And I kind of just said, you know what, I got nothing else better to do. Why don't I just drive out there from Ohio? And so made it a 2-day road trip, kind of drove across, stopped in Nebraska, and then drove all the way and then stayed in Park City, Utah. And then, of course, I brought my golf club. So golfed in Park City and then met up with the gang in Salt Lake. And then we did a Rufus show and did some hiking at Sundance. Incredible. And then I was like, you know what? Let's go southern Utah, and drove down there to St. George area. And I golfed at Black Desert and Sand Hollow. And then in between went to Zion National Park. And I got lucky. Got lucky with the night before lottery and was able to get an Angel's Landing permit. And heard great things about Angel's Landing. Heard very dangerous. Looked up some YouTube videos. It's like, oh, okay. Well, you know what? Let's just do it. So, that picture, and then I think I sent another picture from that same trip in Utah, and hiked up Angel's Landing. Got some footage that I need to edit and chop up together, and I'll post it on the socials. But it was a surreal experience because it's literally just you and a bunch of people with a chain, and that's me at the very top, just chilling on the edge and having a good time.
How long did it take to get to that spot?
I think for me was probably, I got to the park at 6 a.m., got on like the second or third shuttle out, and probably got up there at 9 or 10, so maybe like 3.5 hours, because that
That's not too
elevation
bad.
gain. Yeah, that elevation gain is no joke. So I was taking some breaks here and there, but in the end, incredible.
I'd love to see that. The only comparable hike I've ever done like that was in Yosemite. This was around 10 years ago. Charlotte and I did a little summer trip out there, flew into San Francisco, rented a car, drove about 3 hours from there to Yosemite. And we didn't win the lottery to go to the top of Half Dome. We wouldn't have made it anyways because the weather kind of flared up in the afternoon. But like we went a good like solid 2.5 hours up, 2.5 hours back. Most beautiful stuff I've ever seen. A little bit different than that, though. I'd like to check that one out as well.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I tried to spend the whole day there, but because then later that day, I did all the emerald pools, lower, middle, and upper. Gorgeous as well. And when I got to the upper, it's almost like a sanctuary of just the wall with like the pool there. And there was at one point, I was the only one there because for like 20 or 30 minutes. And just the serenity and peace of just you with this, 200-foot, 300-foot wall, and it was just and the pool right in front of you, and just beautiful.
Not to get too philosophical about it, but that's a good time and place to do a lot of deep thinking.
Oh, absolutely. Just exactly with me, with like at the, I don't even know what kind of crossroads you want to call a 5 points crossroad, with everything going on, but it was just incredible just to be at peace and kind of just be where your feet are.
So let's get back to the timeline where we picked off before we jumped ahead a little bit. So February last year, 11 months ago, you went to Arizona. What was the next stop after that?
So then Arizona, and then I kind of used Fort Worth, Texas as my home base just to be with the folks.
Yeah.
And so from there, went to Florida because I have 2 aunts down in Florida, and I also have a buddy that lives in Fort Lauderdale. And so he had an extra spare bedroom, and stayed with him. And then we went snorkeling in Key Largo, and incredible. And we saw some reef sharks down there, and it's like we both looked down and we looked up like, you see that? And we're like, yep. But so that was it was pretty cool going down there, a short trip from Fort Lauderdale, and then from there, I think I sent you a picture. And then I drove up to the Players Championship, which I think is about 3 or so hours, and just absolutely incredible.
So I'm not really a golf guy. Where is that?
So the Players is in Ponte Vedra Beach, which is just south of Jacksonville, on the east coast of Florida. But a lot of people consider this the 5th major in golf. All the top players play this tournament. It's iconic because the hole behind me is an island green. So this is the 17th hole at Sawgrass. And basically, if you miss the green, which is pretty hard to hit in the first place for an amateur, of course, but you're in the water, so you get a penalty. And even the pros have a tough time getting it on there as well. But it was just incredible because beautiful weather, March in Florida, can't beat it. And you just get to walk around, see all the top players in the world, and kind of see them compete.
Did you hit that green? I'm sorry.
I wish I could. Well, I wish I could say it, but towards the end, I wouldn't say it's like comparable, but there is another island green that's kind of becoming more and more iconic that I just did in Missouri, the kind of cap off the year. But but no, to play there at Sawgrass for us civilians, I think it's running around $750 or $850 to play one round.
Oh, screw that!
And not including your tipping the caddies and other stuff, and that's before you even hit the pro shop to get any merch if you want.
Yeah. All right, so that's around what, March, April-ish of last year?
So that's like February, March.
Okay.
Time
so
frame.
I know one place you were at in April because we were there together. We met up with the crew in Vegas and had some unspeakable adventures.
Exactly. That was another one where I was just like, hey guys, keep me in that sub Discord of the Vegas trip for the Sphere because I might side quest over there. And eventually was able to score myself a ticket to Dead and Company. What was that? April 24th or
20 something. The wild thing to me, and I'll tell you my side of the story. We were there for the first half of that show before the intermission. We were all in a row together. And, you know, I'm going upstairs with Evan to go get a drink, and he's going on like, oh, man, John Mayer's the best. I can't believe this. Of course, classic Evan. We go back there to get beer, and all of a sudden you disappear like it's no big deal. Like, oh, hey, guys, what's up? And we're like, what? Where have you been? Like,
no.
And we found an extra seat near us where we could sneak you in. That was such a good night, man.
No, that was incredible because, yeah, I think I bought my ticket 2 days before the show. And I knew it was in the same section as you guys because I think I was just on the opposite side. And you know, the service in the Sphere is not great. So I think in the last message I saw was, I think I had your guys' seat numbers and then you guys said you're getting a drink. I was like, I'm bound to run into them. I think there's like maybe that one bathroom on that side. So I was in line to get beers, but then I saw you guys and I was like, let me play this off a little bit. Hey guys, how we doing?
No, that was amazing.
That was incredible. But that Sphere, like, incredible.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, how was your perspective of that? Like, we talked about this on here before. I was blown away. Like, what was your first impression when you saw like the first couple of songs?
So I had like a little bit of a teaser because I guess I kind of skipped over because I had a little side quest in Vegas on the way down to Texas. I had a 13-hour layover in Vegas. So this was like right when I first got laid off and I was heading back home to Texas to go see my folks. But I saw a flight that had a 13-hour layover in Vegas and I said, hey, why not? So took a stop off and I actually saw that Postcards from Earth Sphere show.
That? Did you like that?
Incredible.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, so I think for me, I just love live experiences and seeing, I don't know how to put it in the words, but kind of like they have like that little short like intro of like little spacey, you know, like the, you know, the origins of humans and the origin of everything. And then it shoots to Earth and it shoots you over like Arctic mountains, like snow-capped mountains, and they blow cold air into your face. And like, you're just like flying and it's just like a Planet Earth documentary on steroids. And I just remember staring at it just, oh my goodness. And that Postcard from Earth, I mean, it just takes you across the whole Earth, basically a Planet Earth documentary, right? Like in an hour and a half. And it just shows you everything and from everything from nature to cities to, you know, traditional cultures and ceremonies and beautiful. But then I was like, I have to get here for a concert. And then when I saw the Discord firing up about Dead and Company, and I've already heard people vouch for it left and right, I said, I got to get out there with the gang. And yeah, but those first couple shows, especially, you know, the takeoff and then come back to San Fran to the house. Yeah. Like it just takes you on a journey. And I don't even know how else to describe it. I think maybe I had 2 or 3 margaritas deep at that point and absolutely incredible.
That one was pretty special for me because, like, you know, obviously there's a lot of like space imagery that actually has been, you know, given to them from NASA. Don't ask me for all the details because it's not my office, but like that stuff at the beginning where you kind of like leave Earth right before you go through like the wormhole or portal, whatever they want to call it. That's like real legit stuff. So like I was kind of crying in the club and I was able to see all that stuff, man. It was amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I think what helped for me was I was never into jam until 2019 Bonnaroo when I saw Fish and Fish, Sun Squabby, and all those kind of jam. And I was like, I get it. And ever since then, I've been chasing jam. And then during COVID, that's how I got into Goose because I just watching their live streams. And I was like, man, this Goose band's not too bad. And then come full circle, and yeah, I'm fully into jam. And then obviously I know the Dead are basically the founding fathers for the most part, and been getting into their music the last handful of years. And I was like, you know what, got to do it with the gang who love the Dead. And it was perfect.
My story is very similar. Like my first real experience was at Bonnaroo 16. Before that, I was like, jam stuff's okay. I don't really get it fully. But then, like, when I saw it live, I was like, whoa, I understand why people are obsessed with that. And then, like, my level just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger with jam, you know. Got to see Fish a number of years ago, have seen Goose, like, 4 times now, I think. By the way, I might go with you guys in April. We'll talk offline later. I heard about that.
Done. Yes, done.
In Georgia, yeah. But yeah, that whole experience at the Sphere was awesome, obviously, because of like the giant screen and like one of our favorite bands and everything. But for me, it was like so cool because like to have like a half dozen or so of like some of my best buddies there to experience it, you know, along with us, like that was awesome. And also like all the crazy adventures in Vegas. That was a highlight of the year for me. I was able to dig up one of these pictures while we were talking, like that was one of them I had with you in it too. We were like way up in the upper deck, but it was like totally worth it, man.
No, I think that's arguably the best spots you want to be. That 300, 400 level, I think, is where you want to be in the Sphere, no doubt.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like everything was like right in front of you. You didn't have to like crane your neck to look at like crazy stuff that was happening above you. I would like to try it down the floor in the future for like another band that I'm dying to see over there, but like I know it's going to be way different and I might not like it as much, you know.
Right.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
Well, let's jump ahead. Like all of our. Oh yeah, go ahead.
And that Vegas trip was the birth of Sunning Around the World as well.
Okay. I was going to get to that later. We were at the pool when that whole thing started. Do you want to recount that story?
Yeah. So I think what kind of was just, we were just chilling by the pool. I think this was up in Old Vegas. This was the day after the show, right?
I think so. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because I flew in day of the show. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how I remember? It was at the pool at the building that was the Plaza Hotel and Back to the Future 2. That Biff takes over and turns into the casino. Yeah.
Yes. So what kind of birthed that was just kind of the day of recovery, right? We're just hanging by the pool, just hanging out, and I'm laying on one of the day beds, and I'm just trying to stretch out a little bit. So I low key just kind of like a little happy baby pose, you know, grabbing my feet kind of, and then I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was maybe Skylar or maybe even you, Daniel. But I don't remember. Are you sunning your cheeks right there? Are you sunning? Maybe Shayna too, because Shayna was on the bed right next to us too. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh shoot. It does kind of look like I'm just pointing to the sun god right here, cheeks out. And then Maddie came over there and just held him up too. And I think ever since then, that was the birth of Sunning Around the World.
It's gotten a little out of hand, but in the best way. So like you have done this in all these different locations. And like for everybody watching, I was able to pull this up really quick. All right. So this is literally the Instagram is Sunning Around the World with the little underscores. So like, yeah, here's Jums at like all these crazy international locations sunning his butthole.
Amen.
I love how you have all these iconic places like the Sydney Opera House. Where's that tower right there?
That's the Seoul Tower in Korea.
I'm not logged in on there, but you get the idea.
No.
Where was your favorite place to shine your butthole? You're never going to hear that question on any other podcast.
No, you'll never hear that. This is a world debut. Man, my favorite place. I want to say. Shoot, that is a good question, but maybe one of my favorites is I think I did it at Zion. I think I did it on Angel's Landing.
Yeah.
Just doing it at altitude. And I think for me, what I wanted to do, the best part about this whole account is I never broadcasted it. Obviously, you guys knew about it because it was a Bonnaroo inside joke and everything. And then I was just like, you know what? Let's just do it. And then all my friends that are non-Bonnaroo people started screenshotting it and sending me text messages just like, yo, this you? Are you okay? Everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Hey, trust me. Hey, you don't have to worry about anything. It's like an inside joke with my Bonnaroo group. But I was like, hey, since I'm doing this, I might as well shine my buns around the world as well.
Hey, it's a health exercise.
Absolutely.
My favorite is always when you're in these crowded locations and there's inevitably like some lady that's just looking over their shoulder like, you know,
boom, there it is. That's my favorite one, and I think Andrew can attest to it too. It was in Dublin, Ireland, and I had the Dublin Spire kind of going right up the middle. And if you look to the left, there's a guy with a face like, "What?"
Yeah.
And my biggest thing and like kind of my life motto is, if you're doing something embarrassing, you're never going to see these people again. So
yes, exactly.
Why let it bother you? So
that's another good point about like traveling internationally. I really feel like, and this goes to you and the younger audience that listen and watch to us, like whether it be Bonnaroo or like one of these like international locations like Jums is about to tell us about, it doesn't matter. Like they're either on the same level as you or they don't care because they don't know you. So you can be as much of a, wholesome idiot as you want. It doesn't matter.
exactly.
But let's talk about some of those international locations. You were talking about places in the States for the most part to this point.
Yeah.
So like give us the checklist. Like where was everywhere that you visited around the globe?
So yeah, I was writing it down here, but 9 countries that I hit this year. So Canada, did an Alaskan cruise with the family in June. So we kind of made a pit stop in Vancouver. That's where it kind of came in and out.
Yeah.
And Vancouver, incredible. And if I could tell anybody, Vancouver and then Victoria Island was just gorgeous, especially in the summer. Wasn't hot at all, like perfect temperament. Couldn't beat it. And then I had 2 friends that I did London and Amsterdam back in 2024. And they were both like, hey, we're going to go see The Weeknd in Toronto, a hometown show. And I was like, ooh. And I was like, when is it? They're like, the show's on a Monday. I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I can actually drive to Toronto. It's like a 5.5 hour, 6 hour drive. That's not bad. So pulled that last second and drove up to Toronto and saw The Weeknd play in the Rogers Center, which is where the Blue Jays play.
Yeah.
That is a beautiful ballpark, but the concert was incredible. And so Canada, and then Mexico, we did Mexico City where we saw Bad Bunny, and oh my gosh,
That looked wild. I saw your videos from that. That was, I feel like seeing him in a Spanish language place is like a whole nother level.
No, so that's funny that you bring that up because we got tickets to see Bad Bunny because we've been trying to see Bad Bunny forever, and the only location that we were able to like, potentially get tickets was in Stockholm, Sweden, and we're like, do we really want to see Bad Bunny in Sweden?
Yeah.
We kind of want to see him in a Hispanic speaking country, and then kind of in the last like 3 or so months, we're like Mexico City, and you know me. Twist my arm lightly and I'm already in. So
yeah, I feel like that's a better spot to see him that like next door to an IKEA or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Eating Swedish meatballs, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, incredible. The food there is hands down some of the best, and not a single word of English was said. But the drinks for a regular beer that's 2 12-ounce cans, $5, $5 USD.
Yeah.
And it's like, gosh, this is how it's supposed to be. So
this is one thing that I'm always trying to tell the younger crowd about going to some of these international locations, because like I've said this before, when Charlotte and I go to Thailand, like great dinner and a beer, like $3. It's nothing. The same plate and a beer would cost you, like I had almost exactly the same thing in Atlanta about 4 months ago. Fancy upscale restaurant near Buckhead. Same plate that I would have gotten in Bangkok for $2 was like 20 something in Atlanta, and it's better in Thailand. Anyways, we'll talk about that another time. But all right, we're talking about still the Americas though. So like, where else did you hit up? It wasn't on this continent.
So then let's start with so one of my biggest side quests I did this year was going to Ireland, Northern Ireland, England, and Wales.
Oh my God.
Booked that on a whim because I had some miles left over, and I was like, hey, why don't I just use these miles? Like, this is the perfect time to use them. And to Ireland, a round trip to Ireland, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So flew over to Ireland, 0 itinerary. I've been to Ireland before, but I was just like, let's just do it because I want to kind of see my ancestry, because my name is Daniel Patrick McHugh. So it's like, you know what, let's do it. And it was very fun, but what I didn't realize was that was the weekend of the NFL game that they played in Dublin. So I showed up, and funny enough, walking through the airport, they had like Irish people playing like NFL cheerleaders and coaches, like, hey son, welcome to the NFL. And I'm sitting there like, excuse me? So
did you fly to the right place?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, excuse me? And then I was like, oh my gosh. And kind of just walking through city centers and everything, and seeing all the Vikings and Steelers garb everywhere it was cool, and everything. And at that point, I booked a hostel, and the hostel in Ireland was like maybe $20 a night at a decent spot.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, but then I saw the prices on the weekend, and I said, what the? And they bumped it up to like $80, $100 a night. I was like, what? And I was like, oh, it's for the football game because they brought in so much tourism. So I was like, oh shoot. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go to England. Chelsea is my football club that I like to support. And I was football. Like, oh, exactly. And they had a match. So Chelsea had a match at home at Stamford Bridge, and I was like, let's do it. All the flights though from Dublin to London were just insanely priced. So I looked up, got a ferry for I think $35. So I took a ferry, literally planes, trains, and automobiles and boats at this rate. And so I get on a ferry from Dublin, takes me to Holyhead, Wales.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Get there and hang out there for. And the reason why I count Wales as a country is because the train wasn't coming for another hour and a half, 2 hours. So I was like, the town's right here. So went and got myself a pint. And I was like, all right, I count this. I'm in a city in Wales getting a pint. I was like, I think this counts more than like a layover in an airport or whatever. So got to walk the streets a little bit, but get on a train that takes me to London, and then find a cheap Airbnb in London and go to the Chelsea match. Incredible versus Brighton. Unfortunately, they lost, but still very cool to see a home Premier League match of a club that I support. And I said, oh, hell yeah, why not?
I'm jealous. I miss London. Charlotte and I spent about a week there way back in 2013, and I fell in love with the place. Like, there's a little bit of everything from all over the world there as far as like culture and restaurants. You can't walk a block without seeing one of those blue historic markers. It'd be like Winston Churchill took a poop here in 19 whatever, There's like so much like history with all the museums. I mean, granted, a lot of it's stolen from other places, but it's still nice to see,
Absolutely.
But I love that town, man. I'm glad you got to see that of all things. That's a pretty cool piece of culture over there, obviously. And I'm very disappointed in you that you went to these pubs and a football match and didn't get into a fight.
No, they're actually friendly. I was like surprising, but I do have to say the chanting and cheering was incredible because the away supporters were right next to me in the section, and those Brighton fans were loud, and just some of the cheers that they were making up on the spot were incredible. And then kind of funny, another side quest in London. It was like late night. I was just like, kind of what's going on, and they have the 70mm IMAX there, and their one battle after another came out, and I was like, you know what, screw it. So went and saw that there. So it was kind of fun to just go there, and it was kind of a fun little tidbit because they were like, well, guess what, guys? This is the only print in 70mm that is being played around the world other than the U.S. So it's like, wow, okay, that's cool. That's a fun little tidbit. But so that was like, I just spent 36 hours in London, then got a one-way flight to Belfast up to Northern Ireland, and went up there and hung out 2 nights up there, and just cool. I just walked around Belfast basically all day. And this was at the end of the Ryder Cup, and what was pretty cool was Shane Lowry, who's Irish, making that final putt to win it for him in Ireland, like in Northern Ireland, and just seeing everyone just going ballistic at the pub. And I was just like, okay, kind of sucks, America lost, but at the same time, it's kind of cool to experience this.
Wow, to be there for the home team. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Exactly. And then, so then from there, Northern Ireland, back to Dublin, and then spent a couple more days kind of just pub hopping, finding the best Guinness. And then from there, Dublin back home. And,
Now, wait, there's more, though, because you went to another one of my favorite areas, two or three of them, actually, on the other side of the Pacific. So tell us a little bit about those adventures.
Yeah, so this was, what is this? This is late October, November now. So I figured, I had this time off. My mom goes to Korea every year in October. So I was like, Mom, I have the time now. I want to go over there, see some family. So go over to Korea. First stopped in Seoul, saw one of my cousins there, and then met up with my mom. And then we went down south and kind of just visit all the family. My mom, she grew up on a farm in Korea. So it's just interesting to see just like the different side of life of kind of that kind of upbringing and just kind of walking around where she used to, grow up and kind of kicked it back in the day. And then kind of just seeing other cousins and seeing where they're at. A lot of those cousins have had kids now. And so it was cool. So I spent about 2 weeks there in Korea and then looped it back up to Seoul. And funny, very naive of myself was, since I'm going to Korea, I'm in the Eastern Hemisphere. I'm already on that side of the world. I might as well just go to like Australia or something.
Yeah. No, wait. I want to get to that in a moment. But I got two questions for you before we move on from Korea.
Yeah.
So like, how far from Seoul was like their neighborhood where you went to like those places?
Like my mom's village is probably like a 4-hour bus ride.
Oh, that's not too bad.
I think so, from Seoul. So
I was just curious about the geography. Yeah. Now, question two.
The geography in Korea is incredible. Just very mountainous. Yeah.
I had a 2-hour layover at the Seoul airport about 5 or so years ago, before the pandemic. So it's been longer than that, I guess. And like just coming into there, like seeing the mountains that looks like one of those freaking Avatar movies is insane. But
exactly.
This leads me to question 2, because now I'm going to be there for 2 nights here in just a couple of months on like a long layover kind of deal, like you've been talking about. What do I need to do in Seoul? Where would you send me to?
Man, Seoul, like that's like a hard loaded question because Seoul is, I think, top 20, top 10, most populous cities in the world, I think. So it's just crazy how much I'm trying to think. You got 2 days there. So seeing some of those kind of like ancient cities, I can't think of the names, but doing like a quick tour through there. And what's actually kind of cool is like there's traditional costumes that you can rent and dress up like they did back. Yes. I didn't realize this was a thing, but they have like shops all around those, not temples, but they're just like, traditional, kind of like the Forbidden City, and kind of like those kind of type of cities, and they're still intact, but like there's costume shops where you get dressed like traditionally, like what they dressed up back then in like the, 13, 1200s. Yeah. And like that, and like people would wear that and do the tour and kind of get like photo ops, like doing that. So definitely, and then you could definitely do that in 3 to 4 hours.
We'll see. I don't know how I'm going to look in one of those fits. I have seen something similar. There was like this slightly touristy mall in Bangkok that I was at a couple of years ago, and they'll do the same thing. They'll dress you up in like traditional stuff and like take one of the pictures or whatever. But it kind of struck me as like one of those things where like you go down to the beach or Gatlinburg or something around here, and they put you like in these clothes that make it look like you're in the Old West and just robbed a bank or something like that.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay. I'll take a look at that. I know we have a good friend over there that I've talked about on the show before. Her name is Ashu. We're visiting her and her family, so she's pretty much going to be tour guide. But I want to look cool. I want to be like, hey, what about this neighborhood I've heard about? You know, so yeah.
Because like for me, like I stayed west side just to kind of be closer to the train to get to the airport. But that was a very cool. I forget the name of that. But it's like a university area, so very young, but very cool. I stayed in this hotel that was connected to like a 5-story mall. And if you're into anime, anime and K-pop, there was like 3 floors just devoted to everything anime, everything K-pop. And I was like, just walking through, I was like, holy, I didn't even know half of this existed, but incredible. And then I know like your standard touristy traps like Itaewon and all that stuff, kind of like your young, more commercial. Like it's not bad to walk through it, take a lap just to kind of just get a feel for it, but see their little flavor. But I always tell people this. You can get some of the best food like in the subway station, or you probably know this too. Like in Thailand, like the street vendors, like the street food. This is not your standard like street meat you'll find like a major city. Like a hot. Hey, I'm not bashing the New York City hot dogs or anything. I'm just saying it's that those are good in their own right, but in Korea it's just a whole nother level and a whole different game.
Yeah, that's like one of the top 3 things I'm looking forward to. So we're staying in the Gangnam area, yes, like from that silly song.
Yeah,
I've heard there's a lot of cool stuff and a lot of like good street food there. But since you mentioned it, yes, the street food in Thailand is. I don't want to start a fight with anybody, but I would say like the best in the world. Like you can go any street in Thailand, and there's just like amazing like 5-star quality food that some dude is like. Basically grilling off the back of his muffler on his motorcycle. You can get like anything. I will say for anybody that ever is thinking about going to that area, I would personally like only get noodles from like a restaurant, because like when I get noodles from street food, like I get a little sick. Then it might just be something I'm allergic to. I don't know. But like everything else, like rice based stuff, just guess. But yes, I can't wait to try that in Salt. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to. All right. Thank you for that detour with me. But there were other places on the other side of the Pacific you went to. So you hit up another one of my favorites, Australia, right?
Yep. So then from Korea, went down to Australia. So we flew in. The way my connections worked, flew into Sydney to Brisbane. And then I met up with a friend who said, screw it, I'm going to Australia with you. I was like, hell yeah, brother. So I was like, let's do it. So he bought a ticket, met me in Brisbane, and then we bought flights to go up to Cairns, which is about, I think, another 2.5 hour flight north. So kind of out north. And reason why we wanted to do Cairns is because we wanted to do the Great Barrier Reef. And so incredible. Took the 1.5 hour boat ride out there. And I do have to say, it was a rough day on the water, and our boat looked like a war zone at the 1 hour mark. Like just walking through there, people are laying down left and right. Everyone's on the back deck, puking through in their bags and everything. I was just like, oh my goodness. Like,
it's funny you say that, because I almost did that trip when we were down there back in 2019, but I decided to go to New Zealand instead, which we'll come back around to in a moment. Yeah. I'm kind of like, in a weird way, glad to hear you say that, because it helps me realize I made the right decision, because Charlotte would have barfed and then have been ready to murder me because of making her do that. Yeah. So that's actually good to know. But how was the reef itself? I think everybody has heard about all the environmental impact.
Yeah. So for me, it was kind of like, it wasn't night and day, but in Key Largo, like the Fuller Keys, like those reefs are pretty much dead. And, but it's still kind of cool to see, what was, and kind of like a little bit of like remnants, but at least in the reef, like you saw some color, and the water just crystal clear, obviously out there. But you can try to see them reviving some of it, but still seeing like the depths. And I was able to see a sea turtle down there. So incredible. But yeah, we had 2 stops, and very cool. So I definitely would recommend Great Barrier Reef if you're ever in Australia. It's definitely worth the trip up there.
All right, I gotta get Charles some Dramamine or something next time.
Exactly, that's what a lot, like they have pills on the boat that you could buy for like $1 or something like that, or just go into it free, because some people were in there like, oh, I've been deep sea fishing, I'm fine, and then it's like, no, this is a different game. It's like we were sitting down on the front, like on one of the seats, and it felt like 30-40 feet that we were up and down.
Yeah.
Oh, I told my buddy, if it was 10 more minutes, I think I was about to yak, because I felt my breakfast rumbling. I felt it rumbling, but it didn't get to that point. So I was like, thank goodness. But yeah, so Great Barrier Reef, incredible. So we spent Cairns, just like 30 hours, I think. And from there, got our flight back to Brisbane. And in Brisbane, did a couple nights there, kind of walked around. And same with Cairns, hot and humid, because with it being on the Southern Hemisphere, it's flip-flop season. So this was like their spring going into summer. And for me, I'm a sweater and was sweating through everything in Brisbane and Cairns. But Brisbane was cool. And so me and my buddy, we rented a car, and we were like, let's just drive down the East Coast from Brisbane to Sydney and make a few stops. And from there, we went down to the Gold Coast. Was a little cloudy, but we said, all right, screw it. Let's get up in the morning for sunrise. We looked it up. Sunrise was at 4:35 a.m. at the Gold Coast. So we're like, hey, we have to do it. We're only here once. So we get up at 4:15 a.m. Our hotel's right on the beach. So we walk out to the beach, see this beautiful sunrise. And at that point, it's 5 a.m. now. And we're like, you know what? Let's just hit the road, get a coffee, and let's just go. So from there, we made a few stops at some beach towns. What was it? Byron Bay and Coffs Harbor. And it's just incredible. The beaches, huge beaches, white sand, soft sand, water's crystal blue, feels fantastic. Yeah. And we probably spent like 2 hours in each town, because, we have no itinerary. Let's just walk around, kind of go wherever.
I want to see, obviously, I have some attachment to Australia because of reasons, but like when I was there, I was only in Sydney. And like Bondi, obviously incredible, but like to me, the hidden gem, you may have seen this. If you go up the hill from Bondi and go over this kind of like rocky area, there's a big like surfer beach. Did you go see that? That looked incredible.
No, I think is that Manly Beach maybe? I think
I can't remember.
no,
the
we
name
didn't. Yeah,
It's
so
Stuart Wall. Yeah.
yeah, so but yeah, we just did the touristy thing. We went to Bondi, and we just like, you know what, screw it. And but I mean, it was still incredible because we got there like maybe 10:30 in the morning, and wasn't that packed. And then when we left at 3, we're like, oh, looked up, it's crowded, but it wasn't like overcrowded to the point where somebody's like 2 feet away from you, trying to, sit down next to you. So didn't mind that.
Like that. Me and Charlotte were there. It was a little tough, but it was totally worth it, though. It was one of the coolest beaches in the world, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we celebrated our buddy. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, go ahead, because we're going to talk about another island in the area in just a moment. But what were you saying?
Yep. Yeah, so from Sydney, we went to a steakhouse for my buddy's birthday because it was in Sydney. And it was one of those places where they take your phone because they kind of want you to just be in the moment type restaurant. We're like, oh, heck yeah. And what was cool is how they did their bread was, sorry if you guys go to Bisteca in Sydney, but spoiler alert, they give you a candle and then they light it and it's like on a side plate. And we're like, But we were kind of told earlier, the candle is butter. So the butter melts, like the candle melts the butter into the plate. What? And then you have a salt plate or like a salt bowl where you take the salt, pinch it into the butter, and you dip your bread in there to have like a salted bread. I was like, oh my gosh. And so incredible. And then from there, we drove from Sydney to Melbourne and did a couple nights in Melbourne. Incredible. And then I think this is where we're going to a short hop and a skip to New Zealand from there.
Yeah, it's not far. We did that. It's about 2.5 hour flight. It's no big deal.
Yeah. No, not bad at all. And so for us, we had obviously like big grandiose plans of, we're going to do all New Zealand. But after we were kind of budgeting through Australia, we're like, all right, this is getting expensive a little bit. So let's just do one town.
Is not cheap. Yeah, I remember.
No. And so let's just do one town. And from everyone's recommendation, everyone just said, you got to do the South Island. And we're like, okay. And then from everyone that I've heard, they said Queenstown. Or like, done. So, we had our flights going in and out of Queenstown and absolutely incredible. Just beautiful.
So you were only on the South Island. I haven't heard this whole story. I didn't realize that you were only down there. Now, I agree. Yeah. I think that's the one you want to go to. We're going to get to this in a moment anyways. Like, that's where most of Lord of the Rings was filmed. There was some on the North Island, but not a ton.
Yeah, so we only did Queenstown. And, I think we spent about 5 nights. Yeah, Monday to Saturday. But breathtaking. I don't know how else to describe it.
Now tell me a little bit about Tell me about this golf course you hit up in the area. I'm pulling this up.
Yeah, so that was also another reason because we said, screw it, we're gonna golf. And in New Zealand, one of my buddies, the buddy that joined me, he has a buddy that works at the PGA in America, and he said, hey, where do we need to golf in New Zealand? And he said Jack's Point. And Jack's Point is just south of Queenstown. And we booked a little bit of pricey round, not horrible, and we rented clubs. But as you can kind of see, this is just one of the backgrounds of the holes of those mountains. And
that's literally the Misty Mountains. That's the same mountain. Right? Yeah,
exactly. Literally the Misty Mountains. And there's more photos of us golfing out and like with the lake right behind us, and just absolutely gorgeous. And so then one of the other trips that we did was we took a bus to the Milford. We did the Milford Sound cruise, and oh my gosh, just that with you're talking about like Avatar, before. Yeah, this was. It felt like we're in another world, and my eyes felt like they were deceiving me because I was just staring at these mountains, and then like it was a cloudy day, and you could just see another mountain on top of that with more waterfalls coming down, and you're just like,
is this real
place? No, that's truly what it was. And I was just like, what is going on here? And it was just absolutely, I think the cloudy almost added another layer to like the epicness of it. Cause it was just like, these mountains are just through the clouds, waterfalls flowing down, beautiful. And it was just, and I don't know how else to describe it, but just gorgeous, beautiful.
I understand what you mean, because we got like a low key version of that experience when we stayed in Wellington. So I did like the inverse of what you did. We only stayed in Wellington on the North Island. It was just easier to get to from Sydney. I found like a good deal on a hotel. The actual production studio where they did all the Lord of the Rings stuff is there. You can do like a tour for like $30. So obviously I wanted to see that. But there's also like a hill that's, you know, not as tall as what you saw, but still pretty high. And there's a hiking path up there. Part of the path actually goes through a filming location from Fellowship of the Ring. It's the part where the hobbits are hiding from the Black Rider for the first time when they're leaving the shower. Yes. You can actually go there where they filmed that. But it was kind of cool because when you get to the top of it, it takes about an hour, give or take. You can see the mist between you and like the rest of town. Some things are kind of poking up. It's beautiful, man. Yeah. And Wellington, I would kind of compare to like San Francisco a little bit because it's all on like one big, beautiful bay. A lot of good seafood there. You know, it's like more like Australia, New Zealand brand of seafood. Yep. So it's kind of like seafood, but with a bit of a British flair because that's where, you know, some of the lineage comes from. But also, I will say another thing that I would point out about Wellington, other than the beautiful scenery and like the Lord of the Rings stuff, I don't know if you noticed this down in the South Island, but they are very intent on including the indigenous cultures there, which I really loved. Like the street signs are in their language. Like more than half of the Public Free Museum, that was kind of like their version of the Smithsonian, was like exhibits on like, hey, what did these people do back in the day? Like, how did they get around and stuff like that? I thought it was amazing.
No, incredible. Yep.
They're very, very inclusive, more so than any other like town like that I've ever seen. I really loved that about it too. And I loved a lot. I learned a ton about the Maori culture down there.
Yes.
So I came in for the Tolkien, but came away with that. I came to really love it.
No, exactly. Because one of the things at Queenstown, they had like the the gondolas taking you up, and they had like those little those brake cars. Have you seen those things like they call it like Mario Kart, like those little things that you take down the mountain? So we were doing that, and as we were coming back down, we were chatting up with this guy. He's from New Zealand, and he's like, "Oh, you guys are cool lads. Let's go get a pint after this." And we had nothing else to do. We're like, yeah, let's do it. So we kind of sat around with this guy for a couple hours and just chatting, and he was just telling us about the New Zealand culture. And he just said exactly to your point was, it's a blend, and there's an appreciation from, the settlers and the natives and how they've kind of blended their cultures and how they can be cohesive. And it's like, not a bad idea, guys. And
I agree.
It's incredible.
Man, you can understand really quick why a lot of people learn more about the place in New Zealand, and it becomes like one of these places like, do I want to ditch America and live down there? But of course, it's very difficult and very expensive.
Exactly.
Not easy. All right. So was there any other grand location that we missed in our list here?
I don't think so. Outside of that, I think there was one other trip that I did where I drove from Fort Worth, Texas to San Diego. So I drove out west, went to San Diego, and then from San Diego drove all the way back to Ohio with a few stops along the way. Stopped at Sedona, golfed there for a little bit.
I went through there once. It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And then visited Telluride in Colorado. Gorgeous. And then, did a golf trip with some friends in North Carolina. Some of the best golf there. But I think outside of that, it hit 25 states this year. So very cool.
Jeez. Well, listen, I know it has been a hell of a 25 for you. I know it's going to look a little different because you're about to pick up a new gig before too long. By the way, hit up your boys' LinkedIn. Have you had any good leads on anything?
No, so when I got back basically full-time back in the U.S. or back in the U.S. in December, kind of year-end type stuff. So not too many responses in December, which you can kind of understand, kind of people are checking out for the holidays and closing up the year. But I have some leads that I'm going to be following up here in January 26th. So it's going to be fun hitting up the Discord networking as well as talking to some other folks that I have some leads with.
Well, when you inevitably get the question about like, hey, can you explain this gap in your resume? Just send them to this episode.
I should. Yeah, I know. I absolutely should. And be like, hey, sourcing, procurement, operations. I got it.
Yeah. So hey, hit up your boy. If anybody listening knows of some openings in those areas, we're gonna find you a good spot. But I will say, should your new job provide it, we have one more adventure for you in 26, and I think you already know what I'm talking about. We're planning on getting a crew of us, maybe about a half dozen of us, out to Burning Man in into August, beginning of September. My man, you ain't seen nothing yet. I'm going to show you a good time over there.
Oh, I cannot wait for that.
We got,
you don't have,
we got
one where you have to twist my arm.
over there. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Some great vitamin D out there.
Yes. Jums, thank you so much for spending more time than we intended, but I think we did need the time to go through the whole list. There was one last thing I didn't want to talk about, though, before we get out of here. The big point, well, you know, I wanted to hear your story, but one big point of having you on this evening was to demonstrate to like some of our younger audience, like kind of the totem age, that this is totally possible. But I wanted to get the point across to them that it's totally possible to do this on a much cheaper budget than people may realize. Like these hostels you were talking about, just about anywhere, unless there's a football game, are just like, you know, 15, 20 bucks a night. You can get like cheap food in places like Thailand. So like, that's what, I mean, I can talk about that all day, but I want to hear your perspective. You were actually able to do it like relatively easy, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, for me, Hostel World was a big one. And then you see most of these hostels too have them on Airbnb and those other booking sites as well. I mean, Hostel World is kind of your first stop, I'd say for sure. But yeah, 15, 20 bucks. You're in a bunk room with, you know, possibly 5 or mine has always been 6-person, you know, 3 bunk beds in there, but you got your own locker. And for me, all of them had kitchens, which is very nice because you just get your own food, you know, cook up a bowl of ramen if you want. And but to your point, if you're in Thailand or if you're in Korea, food is incredibly cheap. So might as well experience out that. But yeah, it's really when you get there, you don't let that scare you because the lodging with the hostels, incredible, food, incredible, and the experiences you'll never forget and you'll never get back.
I'll come back to that in a second, but that's one thing that I would point out as far as like making it cost efficient. So a lot of these like short hop flights that you were talking about, I found in my travels that they are pretty inexpensive. You think about like a short hop flight here in the States, like if you go from like Florida to New York, it's going to be like, if you don't catch it a good time, like $400 or $500. But like for me, when I travel from like Bangkok down to the beach in Thailand, it's like $20 each way. It's no big deal.
Exactly. It's the same with Europe. When I was bouncing around Europe, hey, good old, I finally popped my Ryanair cherry. But yeah, it was from London to Belfast. I think it was a $45 flight.
Yeah.
Incredible.
No big deal. No big deal.
As well as other countries like that where you can utilize buses and trains as well, were well worth the price if the flights are out of hand, and never had a problem with those. So love a good train, love a good bus, love a good public transit.
Makes you realize how badly we need a train system like that in the continental U.S., man. It makes a big difference.
Big oil.
Yep. Well, yeah, you're probably right. One other last thing I did want to talk about before we get out of here. You were talking about like kind of the communal aspect of going to those hostels. Hostel World is a great resource. I've used it before. I'm glad you brought that up. I would stress to everybody, when you stay at those kind of places, the vibe is so similar to hanging out in the camps at Bonnaroo, but with an international flavor. You experience this too, right?
Yes. So just to take it from that, when you think about it, all these people have the same mindset as you. They're all from different areas looking for a, quote unquote, cheap place to stay, but also it's a community aspect. You have people from different walks of life. For us, like in the hostel that we met in Cairns, we met a guy from Alberta, and he just got back from a 3-day scuba expedition of the Great Barrier Reef. But we went out and got dinner, got drinks, just chat about his background, why he was coming out here. We did meet a lot of gap year kids from the UK who were just out there traveling and living out of a backpack. And it's just incredible because in Ireland, I was getting pints with different people from around the world at different pubs, and you can't get that anywhere else, especially for that price. Yeah,
exactly. One of the best nights of my life was at the bar at a hostel in Thailand way back in 2018. We had gone on a boat with like people from all over the world that day, going snorkeling and stuff. And we all decided to meet up that night. There was like, I don't know, like 30, 40 of us. And we were there for just hours, like just cutting up, sharing stories about what was going on back home. And that was the night that me and Charlotte in Brooklyn met a shoe. And we just like tipsily said, hey, fly to the States, go to Bonnaroo. And like, we only see her every 2 or 3 years, but I consider her one of our best friends. And that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't decided to just hang out with everybody at the hostel bar that night. You just never know who you're going to meet at these kind of things from all over the world, man.
No, you never. And it's as easy as just introducing yourself as soon as you get in there, where you're from and what you're up to. And boom, the rest of the night is yours.
Exactly. Again, shares so much in common with Rue. It's crazy. But yeah, everybody that's of that age, college, in your early 20s, I think me and Jums are both, saying the same thing here. Like, we can't encourage you enough to go try this out and just see these crazy things for yourself, meet these crazy people for yourself. You will not regret it. But yeah, jump on the Discord. I guess me and you could have tips for anybody that's thinking about this, right? Charlotte's got the link on all the Bus and Totem stuff. Well, Jums, thank you so much for spending an hour with me. We thought this was going to go a half hour, but the story was so fun. We just kept going and going. I love it. Yeah. So, dude, I hope I see you before June. I think I might see you in April to go see Goose, maybe. I'm thinking about going to that.
Yeah, I'm very much in on that as well. So,
yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely. I would definitely love to see you guys before.
We'll talk later. I want to go to that. I heard about that.
And we got to talk about our next wiffle ball game or how we're going to incorporate that into a shorter reel. Those pictures were incredible. So
yeah, we'll talk about that. Some of it we already got over in an hour. We'll talk about that soon. But thank you to your umpiring services. I thank you again. We'll take you up on that next year. But we're moving from. I don't know if you saw. I posted. We're going to move from wiffle ball to rubber balls this year.
Oh, okay. That'd be.
We're going to take it a little bit more serious. Yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So. All right, Jumpire. Thank you so much. I guess the thing we want to tell everybody to go hit up is that Sunning Around the World account. That's where you can see a lot of these different places he was talking about and see this crazy joke.
Hey, do it right. I'll comment it on all the socials when this comes out.
All right. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
All right. See you soon. Peace.
All right, big thanks to Jums for coming on the podcast with us.
Yes, and we are bringing back the ball game this year. So I made the executive decision that we aren't going to do wiffle ball this time around. We're going to do one of those like foam rubber balls. And he has already said he's going to umpire. Jums, I know you're watching this episode because you're on it. Your strike zone is still in the back of my bus, so I'll just bring it back. We'll just use that again.
It's a whole bag that says sports.
Yeah. Like Huey Lewis. Anyways. All right. But yes, I hope you guys got a lot out of that and you understand, like, while we feel very strongly that like travel is a great way for like the younger demographic to really gain a big experience. We've done a lot of travel episodes in the past from all these different locations. So it was fun to have somebody else's perspective of going to all these like different places, not only in the States, but internationally as well. I loved his New Zealand stories. I want to get back down there one of these days.
Oh, yeah.
And see the South Island in particular. But hey, you know what? We missed the Patreon last week because it was really tough to do that while we were at Straight to L. Got a new way for you to do this, Charlotte. We got it on the iPad.
While he's pulling that up, you should have gotten, if you donated to us or if you donated to Totem in 2025, you should have gotten an email with your contributions for the past year. If you didn't get that, definitely just hit up Daniel or I, and we can make sure that you receive that.
You would have gotten an email directly from me or Charlotte. So if anything's goofy, we don't pretend to be super professional. Let us fix it for you. We'll get it taken care of before you file your taxes. One other thing, too. I sent an email to mentors. We're going to be having a short meeting this coming weekend. If you have mentored in the past and you want to do it again, we're doing kind of a slightly different process this year. Andrea from the Calliope crew is going to be heading that up this year, and she's got a fantastic plan in place. We're kind of emphasizing quality over quantity when it comes to the mentorship program with Totem this year. Just talk with us on Discord and I'll tell you more about it. But speaking of Totem, things are really ramping up. Me and Charlotte and some of our crew have been working on getting things going for this year, but I want to thank the Patreons because you are the guys that are making this happen.
All right. Jordan, Alyssa, Imani, Bradley, Jared, Olivia, Claire, John, Lexi, Danny, Lisa, Butter Crew, Nick, Delaney, John with Texas Roo Crew, Brady, I Am Rave Dad, Courtney, Casey, Christy, that's Casey with Texas Roo Crew, Christy, Jums, David and Aurora,
Speak of the devil,
String Bean, Zach and Jeremy, Amber, JB, Sam, Austin, James, Hygiene Queen, Chris and Shy, Dan, Ernst, Harris, Keith, Casey, Perry, Nick, Maddie, Bruce, Andrew, Kent, Randy, Papa, Josh, Bosco, Eric and Ben, Evan, Chloe, and Sean.
Thank you, everybody. I feel like that's easier using the iPad for it that
is.
way. You can find that at patreon.com/Rebus. And of course, as always, you can learn more at totemfnd.org. Like I said, I've been starting to slowly get everything rolling for this year. I think the plan is for us to have a booth in Planet Roo again. Me and you are going to host a Welcome to Bonnaroo session. I think some of our crew is going to be doing some kind of arts and crafts session. That was a big hit last year. I'll be transparent with you guys. In the one day that we did have Obscenaroo, we almost ran out of supplies.
We did.
We learned, that was one big lesson learned. We got to get a lot more stuff because you guys went through that very fast. We'll make sure that we got it covered this year.
So one other thing, please, 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 if you know a young person ages 21 to 25 that wants to attend Bonnaroo next year, tell them about the Totem Scholarship. Please, please, please let them know they can go to totemfnd.org and apply for a scholarship.
And when does the application close again?
It doesn't close until the very last day of February, so they have plenty of time, but tell them to go ahead and apply.
Yeah, thank you. I gave you guys the homework of telling people about that over the holidays, so I hope that you did. We have a lot more coming up about that in the coming months. This is going to be a big year for Totem. We got a lot of plans. But again, like I said at the beginning of the episode, if you're in the Nashville area, please come out Saturday the 17th over at Honeytree Meadery in East Nashville. It's from 3 to 5, and I'm sure we'll get into some shenanigans after 5 o'clock, too.
It's going to be a great time. You can get to meet some other cool Bonnaroovians, you know, just hang out, have fun, talk about Roo, find out about Totem.
I'm just going to say, like, East Nashville feels like the off-season Bonnaroo HQ. Because, like, it's not that far from where the Live Nation offices are, but, like, there's that mural over there next to that gas station.
There is a Bonnaroo mural, yeah.
There's Rosemary's that, like, Jason from Cherub is, like, a part owner of. There's a couple of other places where you can see little Bonnaroo Easter eggs.
He's an investor.
Whatever you want to call it, yeah. But I just feel like I'm going to, like, the Cherub bar when I'm going in there.
True.
But anyways, a lot of cool stuff in there, so we hope you can come hang out with us. We'll go run around in town. Again, Saturday the 17th, 3 to 5 p.m., Honeytree Meadery. Hope we see you there.
I got a question for you, Daniel.
Yeah, what's up?
Before we leave.
Yeah, it's about time to eat.
So, what did you think about the Stranger Things finale?
Oh, gosh, we're going to get into that. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't want to get into spoilers because we probably have a couple of people that haven't watched it yet.
True.
I thought the finale was a great movie since it was like 2 hours long. I thought it had a great resolution for all of the main characters. I don't want to go too deep into details because we probably have some people that haven't watched it yet, but I really loved it. I give it a 9 out of 10. There's a couple of nitpicky things I have, but like not deal breaking. What did you think?
I think the last season was a little bit too in-depth.
Yeah.
Especially for someone like me who just, I don't really like.
There's the rice.
I'm
Keep
sorry,
going.
the rice cooker is going off.
Speaking of Thai, we're having Thai food.
Uncle Roger, if you ever follow him, that's why I got a rice cooker. But anyways, I thought it got a little bit too in-depth. And, you know, I don't really like really in-depth things because when I'm watching TV, like, man, I just want to chill out and zone out and, you know.
Yeah, that's why you quit going to Marvel movies with me.
Right? But there was this one scene at the end that just like...
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Out.
Yeah,
absolutely ripped my heart out.
I think it was literally the very last scene.
Ripped my heart out. But that's all I'll say.
It's very Totem coded. If you saw it, you know what we're talking about. We both about bawled. It was really good. Yeah. Also, real quick, if we're doing like picks, we went to go see Marty Supreme the other night in Nashville when we were doing kind of like a day off, little day trip. I really liked that. That was such an acid trip of a movie. I really enjoyed that.
That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Really? The worst?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Okay. If we're going to talk.
Oh, here we go.
I didn't know going in. I knew nothing about it. Other than he was supposed to be Supreme, I guess. I didn't know it was a sports movie.
See,
you know how I feel about the sports.
I feel like it's a movie about a lot of other things. The sports aspect is just the vehicle that it uses to tell the story.
Let's just say, I won't say it was the worst movie. I'll say it was not for me.
It was batshit insane, and I loved it. There was so much crazy about it.
Not for me.
It was for, okay, you pick the movie next time, okay?
When we picked that together, the reason we went to see it is because a Marty Supreme blimp went over my brother's house.
I'll put
Apparently,
a clip of
it
that
went
in.
from Tupelo to Nashville and went directly over my brother's house. And my brother lives like middle of nowhere, so.
It was very good marketing. It worked on us. We went to go see it the next day. All right, that's enough of that nonsense. Speaking of Thailand, we got some Thai food for
do.
dinner. I'm looking forward to that. She's very good at making that. All right, I have no idea what's happening next week, but I think that we'll do a thing from Honey Tree here in a couple of weeks. So yet another reason for you to come out. We'll see you over there. Get out there and radiate positivity. We'll see you soon.
Bye.